right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm your host, Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co host, Jake Ellenbogen, and we are continuing with our 2022 NFL Draft prospect interviews. And joining us on the show right now, we have Chase Garbers, quarterback from California. How are you doing, Chase?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're great, man. And just to get started, I just want to know when you started, at what age you started playing football, and when it became apparent to you, Chase, that at some point you could be playing the NFL one day.
Well, I started playing football at a pretty young age, probably like that 8 to 10 range. And was playing tackle football kind of right away. Didn't really start taking it seriously though till like middle school. Didn't really know I wanted to play quarterback till about like 7th, 8th grade. And then, everyone as a kid growing up wants to play professional sports. So that was kind of in the back of my mind, but kind of knew going into high school that I wanted to, give it my all and, pursue a career in the NFL. And, early on in high school, knew I could, make that happen by going to playing big time college football.
For sure. And growing up, did you watch a lot of the NFL? And if so, who was your favorite player?
Yeah, I grew up watching football. I'd say, growing up, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, who's still playing, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, going to Cal, still playing. So kind of those three, Drew Brees as well, love watching kind of all four of those guys.
Absolutely. And, I just want to get your thoughts on what made you decide to go to Cal to play football.
Yeah, there was a mix of a lot of things. When I was getting recruited, kind of the top three schools that came down to me were Cal, Washington, and Vanderbilt. I kind of want to go to a school that had great academics and great football. Cal, Washington play each other every year in the Pac-12. Vanderbilt's in the SEC, all high academic institutions, and just ultimately fell in love with Cal, kind of the whole package it offered. Got to stay in California. It's not too bad at all. And then kind of the quarterback history there with that room, right before I got there, they had Davis Webb, who went, third, fourth round to, the Giants or Jets, I believe. And then Jared Goff right before that went first overall, obviously Aaron Rodgers. They've put a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL. And just I wanted to contribute to that quarterback history and tradition there. And I feel like I did so, leaving Cal.
For sure. And, say that there was an incoming recruit who was interested in going to Cal to play football. How would you pitch their football program as well as the school to them?
Give a recruiting pitch. Let's see. Well, the school-wise, I would say, you get to graduate from the number one public school in the world. All majors there are well-respected around the globe. So that aspect, get to, be around some very smart people. I think that's the pitch in itself. The school-wise, football-wise, you get to play, great football under a great coach with Justin Wilcox. Offensively, you're going to get coached by Bill Musgrave as the offensive coordinator, who's, been a coordinator in the NFL for, quite a while. Defensively, Coach Wilcox is a defensive guy. So you're going to get coached up by the best. I think single-handedly Cal is the best coaching staff, not only in the Pac-12, but it's up there, top 5 in the country. You get to be around a bunch of great dudes also. Cal recruits a certain type of player. I think, the people that we have in our locker room are pretty special. And, that bond in itself is what makes it fun.
Absolutely. And, playing in the Pac-12, you've gone up against so much talent, but regardless of who you're going up against, there's talent on every roster, across the college football landscape. Is there one player in particular that stands out to you as the toughest opponent that you faced?
Yeah, there's a couple. Definitely the past year, playing against Kayvon Thibodeau, potentially a top 5 pick, especially, impacts the quarterback position a little bit. So I'd say, probably him. But, I was talking about this kind of with some of my old teammates. We played against a bunch of NFL dudes. I believe, playing against Washington, once they're secondary in like 2018, all 5 of them are now in the NFL. So, being able to play against, those talented guys. But I'd say Kayvon Thibodeau is probably the best one so far.
Definitely a good pick and someone who's been mentioned on this show this year before as being a tough guy to go against. And like you said, probably top 5 pick, could even be a top 3 pick. Some people think even a top 1 pick. Definitely very talented guy. But looking back at your college career, is there a favorite game that you ever played in?
Yeah. Favorite game against Stanford 2019, huge rivalry. We beat them at their place for the first time in a decade that we beat them. I think since Aaron Rodgers was back at Cal. Our fans rushed their field, which was a very special moment. But that's definitely the top memory in my career at Cal.
I mean, that's a good one. That's definitely a good one there. And, moving into this next question here, I want to get your thoughts on what you believe playing the quarterback position is the most important trait to have.
I think there's two things. I think leadership is very huge as a quarterback, and then also kind of the mental toughness and mental processing ability, especially at the next level in the NFL. There's so much information the quarterback has to deal with. Not only you got to remember the play, but you theoretically have to know what 22 guys are doing on the field. You're 11 and the defense is 11. And then also what your coordinator is about to call and what the defensive coordinator could possibly call for you. So just kind of the mental ability for a quarterback is obviously huge. And then being a leader, I think, being relatable to each and every player, because everyone is so different and everyone is, responds differently to different types of leadership. So kind of those two things are tied, what I think is very important for a quarterback.
Yeah. And looking at yourself, what would you say is your biggest strength as a player?
I'd say my biggest strength is my mental ability. I pride myself in being a cerebral quarterback, knowing the X's and O's, kind of, knowing how to put the team in the best situation in the game. And I'm very fortunate to be coached by an NFL coordinator my last 2 seasons at Cal that kind of enhanced, that mental processing ability, which, you don't really, see a lot, but when you're in the meeting room, obviously coaches see, and then sometimes in games when it does have to come up, you do see it there.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, you are the leading rusher at the quarterback position in Cal history. So I just want to ask you what your thoughts are on mobility at the position. How important do you feel mobility is at quarterback? Because I understand the way the league is gotten. I mean, you have guys like Kayvon Thibodeau, like that's, your every Sunday where you have a 4-5 of 40 time running right at you, and you got to have some sort of mobility, whether it's pocket mobility or moving outside the pocket and scrolling to your right or your left, or even just taking off and running. How do you feel about the importance of mobility? Is it the end all be all, or do you feel like it's a good thing to have, but it's not everything?
I think it's definitely a good thing to have. I mean, look at the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady's not very mobile. But I think the way the game is progressing, and obviously, how, physically enhanced players are nowadays, I think, being mobile is definitely huge. You got to have, a little threat to run, because that just, adds one more person that the defense has to defend. And it's another threat also, not only could the quarterback pass the ball, but he could also tuck it down and go get a first down. And I think you're kind of seeing it with these younger quarterbacks in this league is they're, a lot more of them are becoming more mobile, and, you're seeing that, and their teams are winning, obviously. But I think it's very important.
For sure. It's definitely, the prototypical, in quotes, quarterback style is definitely evolving. And mobility is definitely not a bad thing to have at the quarterback position. And you're very familiar with it, as Jake said. You are a very mobile quarterback. But looking towards the draft, has there been anything specific that you've been working to improve on in your game?
Yeah, I mean, there's little things here and there. I think, just overall, working on the deep ball. I think, it's very important in the NFL how crucial the deep ball is, and just kind of, trying to perfect that even more and kind of working on that and the accuracy that goes with that. Because that is a huge weapon in NFL offenses is, being able to launch the ball down the field. So, working on that through repetition, through this whole draft process is something that I've been, wanting to work on.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely think you got a good deep ball, but I definitely hear what you're saying there. It's a huge equalizer in the NFL, and I mean, I remember I think it was Rodgers in just an interview. He basically said, you can't be perfect at anything at the quarterback position. You could always get better. So I think that makes a lot of sense. But moving on to this next one, it's kind of a fun one, but I'm just curious which wide receiver you would most want to throw a touchdown to in the NFL.
That's a tricky one because there's a bunch of great wideouts in the NFL. You know what? I would say Cooper Cup.
Okay.
Like
You're pleasing our fan base here. I see you.
It leads into my next question in a way, because my next question was going to be, we ask every prospect that comes on our show, because during the season we do cover the Los Angeles Rams. Have you spoken to or had any contact with the LA Rams?
I have, yes.
Awesome. Well, we like to hear that. We're like Alexis has said, I've said, we're big fans of your game. You're not the first California quarterback that we've watched, so to speak, because obviously, Jared Goff was in LA, but no, I mean, I think you had a really impressive year, and I don't think you're getting talked about enough. So excited to see where you go. No matter where you go, though, we're gonna be rooting for you. But absolutely. But going into this next question here, who is Chase Garbers as a player, and who is Chase Garbers as a person?
I think, as a player, really physically and mentally tough player, you're going to get someone that, lays it all on the line. Someone who's very smart, especially at the quarterback position, very smart with the ball, very smart in situations, going to put, the team first. And is just overall, going to put the team in the best situation to win. I think as a person, I'm a pretty laid back guy. You kind of see it in my play. My coaches throughout my Cal career, will always describe me as even keel. That's like their go-to saying when describing me. So I'm pretty laid back. I like to play golf in my spare time. Very relaxing for most people sport. Like to listen to country music. So, nothing too hectic, as a person, but, overall pretty laid back.
And to close this out, we usually ask these 3 questions that are non-football related, because we like recommendations. So if you could please recommend us a TV show, an album, and a snack. And the snack is mostly, I added that in there this year because I like to have snacks when I watch the TV shows.
Yeah.
So I've been picking everyone's brain about, some snacks that I can try.
All right, let's go TV show. I would say How I Met Your Mother is a good one. It's one of my favorites. It's kind of a throwback.
Love that one.
Album. I mean, let's see, what albums do I know? I mean, I could really throw it back with, Taylor Swift, Red. I mean, that's always a good one, the old school one.
Iconic.
Yeah. And snack, gluten-free double stuffed Oreos.
Okay. I see you.
Yeah.
Those are, yeah. Well, I've never had the gluten-free ones, but when I do buy Oreos, I do get the double stuffed because
you have to do double stuffed.
Yeah. Well, once you have the double stuffed, you realize how ripped off you're getting with the regular Oreos. Like, it's not even close, and they're not that much more money. So
why do they only spell it with one F though? Chase, you got to know this. Like, why?
I wish I knew the answer to that.
It's like
I never paid attention to that, to be honest.
Oh boy, what have I done? Yeah, you're never gonna like unsee it. I saw it once and now I'm like, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. It's just a single F. Like, why? Like, it's double stuff. Like, what?
Yeah, I've ever noticed that either. Interesting.
Yeah, it's bad.
Well,
now, you'll notice it every time you have a package in front of you now. You're welcome.
Well, I'm going to have to go buy some of those soon and test that out. I've been meaning to get some Oreos, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I've been trying to eat slightly better. And by that, I mean like candy only on the weekends. So it's Friday.
Yeah, the gluten helps,
Yeah, right. True. That could get the gluten-free ones.
Healthy snack.
But those are all great recommendations. Taylor Swift's Red, iconic album. I love all of her albums, but that one's a really good one as well. Jake is a huge How I Met Your Mother fan.
Perfect.
So I know
just
he
rising up
one.
my boards, man. Just rising right.
But anyways, thank you so much, Chase, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We know it's a really busy time. We are now less than a week from the drafts. We're 6 days from the draft now. Today's Friday. So very exciting. We're very excited for you. We would love to see you end up on the Rams, but like Jake mentioned earlier, we'll be fans no matter where you go. We'll definitely be in touch, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, man. You stay healthy, and we'll be in touch, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.